Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your man, Russ Mitchell, Homesick Buckeye. I'm back with you again with another episode of Keto Conversations, where we bring you folks from all walks of life who've embraced ketogenic living and seen tremendous results. We want to share their stories with you, hope to uplift you, inspire you, and get you on this keto road with us or keep you on the keto road with us. Today's guest is the lovely, the charming, the talented Teresa O. Welcome,
Thank
Teresa.
you.
Um, Teresa is, if for those who may not know, is one of Dr. Barry's advisors, mentors. Is that your title? Is it advisor, mentor? What's your official
I'm an advisor.
advisor? Gotcha. And so, if you're part of Dr. Barry's tribe, like I am, and so many others are, Teresa. She's in there, just always helping folks out. She's very popular, very well known in there, and so we'll talk a little bit uh, more about that in a little bit. But we're going to start out like we always do. Teresa, tell us, where were you born, and what was your childhood like?
Okay. I was born in Peoria, Illinois.
Okay.
We didn't stay there long.
Mhm.
Um, my dad was in the military, so I think we left when I was 8 weeks old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What branch were
Um,
you
Air Force.
in? Okay. Love it.
Yeah. So I guess
Yeah.
the bulk of my childhood that I actually remember would be when we lived in Okinawa.
Oh, okay. So you were in
Yes.
Japan.
Yes, my mom is actually Okinawan. She was born and raised there. So I'm
Oh,
half Japanese.
love
Of
that.
course, my other half is German, but
Mhm.
you wouldn't be able to tell just by looking at me. I look more like my mom. So,
Yeah, yeah. I said so. How long? So from about 8 weeks old, is that when you were just a baby, you moved to Japan?
no, my dad was stationed in Cheyenne, Wyoming
Mhm.
for a couple years. So we moved to Okinawa when I was about 4.
Gotcha, gotcha. And how long did you live there?
Till I was almost 9.
Hmm. Gotcha. Now, do you speak any Japanese? Did you have any of that in your
Skoshi.
arsenal? I love that. Hey, that's Yoshi more than me than I know. All right. So then from there, and what was your childhood like there in Japan? Do you remember a lot of that? What was the food
Yeah.
like and the diet like? And what was it? Were you living on a base? Were you in the community? How was that?
We started off base and then eventually moved on base. I loved it there. I was surrounded by family. So my uncle was a lobster fisherman. So we
Hmm,
got to eat a lot of lobster.
yeah.
We ate fish all the time.
Right.
And my Aunt Hiroko made this awesome clam soup. And I practically begged for it every time. And she lived right downstairs. So I
Mhm.
got to have it very often.
Oh, I love that. So you had plenty of family around and all that kind of stuff. And so then you moved from Japan to where?
Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
And that
So
is where I spent the next 20 years of my life and
wow.
met
Now
my
which island?
husband.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, I said which island? Which one of
Oh,
the?
Oahu.
Okay, Oahu. I'm with you. Oh, that's awesome. And you met your husband there, you said?
Yes. So I moved to Hawaii when I was about third grade, 9 years old. And uh, that was nice because it was kind of like Okinawa, just uh, full of Japanese people, but not as humid. So it was nice. Okinawa is really beautiful. Hawaii is beautiful. Um, but they're very similar. And so it was kind of like being home.
Yeah, yeah. And what was the diet like during those years, living in Hawaii?
Well, this is when my mom started working. So I was basically a latchkey kid.
Okay.
Um, Came home from school, fed myself, usually something junk.
Hmm.
And it was around middle school that I started to put on a little weight. It wasn't bad, but yeah, I was into soda, juice,
Mm,
quick things to grab like Pop Tarts
right.
and little snack bags of chips, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that was the start.
Yeah. I understand.
And then high school, I had a growth spurt, so I slimmed out.
Mm-hmm.
And my senior year, that was probably the last time I would consider myself a normal weight.
Mm, mm.
And shortly after that, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter. And yeah, I got hungry and
Yeah.
I put on weight.
You're eating for two. Eating for two. And I have to say,
Yeah. Yeah,
I,
I think at the end of it, I was about at 209 pounds.
mm,
But given my age, I was 19 when she was born, so I lost that relatively fast.
yeah. Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
do you have brothers and sisters? Or you?
I do not. I am an
Okay.
only child.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so, your parents, weren't at all into health or certainly not ketogenic living in that, but it was just standard
No,
American, you know.
standard American diet with a Japanese twist.
Gotcha. Okay, so now you're in your 20s and you're married and you've got a daughter. Um, and take us to the next few years of your life. Are you still in Hawaii at this time
Yes,
with your daughter? Now, when did you and how many kids do you have?
I have three,
Okay. And how
and
many
they're
years
all
of
they're all
marriage?
grown now.
Mhm. I gotcha. So so when did you leave Hawaii? How old were you and where did you go next?
I was 24 when we left Hawaii. My husband got orders to Colorado.
Gotcha. So he's in the military too.
Yes, he's
He was
Army.
at that time. Yeah, he was at that time. Interesting. So you went to Colorado.
Yes, we went to
Oh man,
Colorado.
you've
I
been from
I was
Japan.
excited.
Yeah, so you've been to Japan and you've been to Hawaii and now you're going to the mountains of Colorado. There's no ocean there.
No, no, but I was really excited because I had never seen snow that I can remember.
Oh. Yeah, no, so it didn't snow in Japan?
No, it's a lot like Hawaii. It's island. It's
Oh.
warm pretty much all year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So yeah,
Yeah, I see. There you go. My geography is as bad as my meteorology. Clearly. So, all right. So, but Colorado definitely has snow.
yes,
I got you. So, how long were you in Colorado?
we were there for about 4 years.
Okay, gotcha. And you got to plenty. I bet you saw plenty of snow. What part of Colorado are you in?
Um, Colorado Springs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
So did
for
you do
the
any?
for some reason the base name is escaping me. I can't
Oh,
remember
yeah.
it.
So did you get to do lots of snowy things, or did you just watch it from inside? Did you ski? Did you snowmobile, or you just sat inside and watched it with a cup of hot chocolate or
Yes, and
something else?
made, I would play with the kids. I'd make little snowmen and we'd have snowball fights
Yeah,
and stuff like that, but no skiing for me. I'm
I got you.
no.
Me either.
I like life.
Yes, yes, yes. I don't do. Hey, listen, I don't do anything with there's more than a 25% chance of me falling down. So
Me
you know,
too.
yeah, because yeah, that's a problem. But that's great. Being from Ohio, I know a little bit about snow. I lived through a couple of blizzards there, so I got you there. So now we're in. So we moved from Colorado. Where was next?
Next was North Carolina, Fort Bragg.
Okay, all right, man. You're getting some of everything. You're that's I love that though. I love that. So how long were you in Carolina?
About 4 years.
All right.
No, maybe five. Maybe five.
And
Yeah.
still during this time, in terms of your weight and what you're eating, still all about the same there?
Still all about the same, but every year I'm getting bigger and bigger.
Mm,
Um, I think at that point, I had actually, when we first got to North Carolina, that's when I started to look into alternative diets. I believe I tried gluten free,
mm,
gluten free and dairy free, paleo, whole 30, restriction, like calories in, calories out kind of thing with portion control and stuff like that. And then none of it, like it, I would feel good in the beginning and then I would lose the initial water weight. But in the end, they all ended the same, which is
yeah. Heartbreak and
nothing.
disappointment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I totally understand. So by this time, you were in your 30s.
Yes.
Okay, so you're in your 30s, you're still gaining weight, but you know it's a problem and you're trying to do what you can do. You're doing what you know how to do, to fix it. Now, what about your kids and your husband and that sort of thing? Did they have weight problems? Were you the only one? Were you kind of suffering by yourself here, or how was that?
Um, my oldest daughter was kind of like me.
Mhm,
Not bad, but she was a little on the chunky side. My other two children, my son and my younger daughter, they took more after their father,
mhm,
and he's from Mississippi, and it's got some of that Cajun in him,
mhm.
and just really hard to put on weight.
Yeah, yeah. Good
So
genetics.
they were. I'm sorry.
It's a good genetics. He's got some good
Yeah,
genetics that way. Yeah.
yeah, and so they were pretty much fine. As far as healthy goes, they were, well, at least I know my husband was eating like I was.
Hmm.
So just because he looked healthy, I don't know if he
Right.
was healthy.
Yeah, no, oh, I know exactly what you mean. And so when the kids were during this time when you were trying to find your way, trying to find a way to lose weight, were you uh, uh, bringing the family along with you, or were they eating their own thing, doing their own thing while you were trying to lose weight and find a way
Yeah,
to
I
balance?
was I was doing my own thing. For the kids, I always try to balance their plates out with a meat and uh, a carb, and
The food
whatever
pyramid
balance
kind of
it. I
thing.
don't even. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what we were taught. I mean, that's what we're taught.
yeah,
You gotta have some carbs and some starches and some lean meats and all that. I got you. So you were just doing what pretty much everybody
yeah,
does, but you were looking by yourself. We were trying to do things a little different way. But as far as what the family was eating, I
yeah.
get it. Now, when was the first time that you ever heard about low carb dieting? Would you
A
say?
year and a half ago.
Really? So, like,
Yes.
during your 30s and that sort of stuff, you didn't know anything about it, never heard of it, never knew anybody was
No.
doing anything like, with carbs or ketogenic in any way?
No.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting. Because now I'm 53, so then you're a little younger than me, but um, in the 90s, around the early 2000s, was the first time I'd ever heard about Dr. Atkins. Um, and he was he's kind of like the godfather of low carbing and that sort of thing. But again, I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was just a fad. And I just, I didn't take it seriously. So when you first heard about it, where did you hear it from, and what were your thoughts about it?
Well, the first time I heard the word keto was actually about 3 years ago, from my dad. He said that
Okay.
he was going to get on keto, and I didn't even bother to look it up. because growing up, my dad did some really crazy diets. To yeah,
Okay,
to include
give us the greatest hits. Let's hear the greatest hits of Dad.
yeah, one of said diets was the popcorn diet.
The popcorn
Yes,
diet.
yes,
Okay,
he
now I
would
thought I
eat
heard them all.
popcorn.
I thought I'd heard
Yeah,
them all. I've never heard of that one.
he would eat popcorn all day until dinner, and then he would eat whatever my mom made.
Huh.
And that was about, he did this for years.
Wow. The popcorn
Yes.
diet.
So when he said keto, I was all like, I don't even want to know.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to know
yeah.
what that is.
The popcorn guy is doing keto. I get it. I got
So I was not interested. I was actually starting whole food plant based at that time
it.
because I had exhausted everything else.
Yes, I did the same
And
thing. I did the same
yeah,
thing.
it was getting really popular, and everybody was saying how healthy it was and how much, they got their health in order and how much weight they lost. And I was like, okay, I hate vegetables,
Yeah,
but I'm out of ideas here.
yeah.
So I was 45 at this time, and I had never eaten a green vegetable in my life.
Wow.
Yeah,
45.
yes.
Wow, now that's amazing. That's hard to believe. So, growing up, you talked about just standard American diet. Were your parents eating vegetables, but you just didn't want to and they didn't make you, or was this like a common thing in your family?
No, they ate their vegetables. And I
Okay.
have to correct myself real quick. I was 43. I was
Okay.
45 when I got on carnivore, so we'll get there.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Okay, so I'm 43, don't eat green vegetables. My parents, they would tell me that I should, but they never forced me. And
Gotcha.
I'm very grateful. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Now you said green vegetables. Now were there other vegetables? I mean, there's orange ones and yellow ones and red ones. Were there
I
any?
I ate the potato ones.
Oh, how that's you're stretching. That's not exactly a vegetable, but okay, all right. You said you ate a potato once. That's funny.
No, no, I ate the potato ones. So only
Oh, oh,
potatoes.
oh, oh, oh! I thought you said you ate a potato once.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would eat regular potatoes and sweet potatoes, but
Gotcha.
I didn't like carrots. I didn't like. Oh, well, I ate corn. Corn's yellow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right there with the potato. That's
Yes.
vegetable-ish. That's vegetable-ish. But it's
Yeah. But yeah,
that's interesting.
no
That's
green
interesting.
vegetables.
Huh, but you now what about your kids and your husband and your family? What do
Yes.
they
I
Okay, so you
I
cook
let
them,
them
you
eat
just don't
whatever
eat
they
them.
wanted to eat.
So you cook
Yeah,
them, you just don't
everybody.
eat them.
What was that
I
last
said,
part?
so you cook them, you just don't eat them.
Yes. Yeah,
Gotcha,
I was all for everybody eating what they wanted to eat.
gotcha,
So just
gotcha.
because I didn't like them doesn't mean I should deprive my kids if they wanted to
Yeah,
eat
yeah,
them.
yeah,
So
yeah, I'm with you. That's
yeah.
amazing. So backtracking a little bit, how did Dad end up with the keto? How did that go for Dad?
Um, he was doing something called dirty keto,
Yeah, I understand.
and he did get his weight down. I know that I was a little worried about him at some point. He never really discussed his A1C
Mhm,
or anything, and I knew he had some issues, but mostly they were movement issues because
mhm,
he was getting on the heavier side, and
yeah,
so yeah, he went on that, and he was dropping weight.
mhm,
So he would be keto during the week, and I think 1 or 2 days of the week he would have a cheat day or a cheat meal.
sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I
yeah,
get it.
he
Yeah, no,
was
that's
doing
interesting.
that, and I was eating plants,
Gotcha. So
mostly drinking them though.
Yes, I did plenty of that. So your dad was losing weight doing keto, and it never, you never thought about, dad's having some success. Maybe I should take a look at that.
No, not yet. Because, like I said, he's done crazy things, and
Yeah,
at this point, I hadn't even Googled what keto was, so I had no
right.
idea what he was doing.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so, yeah, I was trucking along on the plant diet, and I had lost 10 pounds initially,
Okay.
which anybody who starts a diet knows water
Yeah.
weight's the first to go.
Yeah, and especially if you're getting rid of all the junk food, fast food,
Yeah.
sugars, things like that, processed foods, then yeah, you're gonna see some results, initially right away. I totally understand. I went through that too. So, how long did you do the whole food plant based?
Um, 14 torturing months.
Yeah, I didn't last quite that long, but no, I grew up Seventh Day Adventist, and I don't know if you know a lot about Seventh Day Adventists, but the church does teach a vegetarian message. Only about 35% of Adventists are actually vegetarians, and it's not a mandatory thing, or anything, but they do advocate for it. And I went to Seventh Day Adventist boarding school for 4 years, and we didn't have meat served in the cafeteria and that. So, you know, um, growing up, my dad is 81 years old, and he has juiced for probably 50 years,
Wow.
and he's in a lot better health than me. But so I grew up around that. My when we were little kids, my dad used to, make us drink that juice, and he would make it. Back then, it was, they didn't have the NutriBullets and stuff like they have now. He had a big juicer. I mean, it was a huge contraption, and he would go to the farmer's market and get crates of vegetables and peel them and clean them and stick them in that. You'd have a 10 pounds of vegetables to get one one cup of juice. I mean, it was just crazy. Then he had to clean all the fiber and stuff, and he had a garden, and he'd take it out in the garden to compost, and he grew his own vegetables and stuff. It was quite the ordeal. So that was my, all I knew about nutrition and health was what I learned about, fruits and vegetables and growing up drinking juice and all that kind of stuff. So I totally understand, where you're coming from. So you're 14 months in to your whole food plant based. You're not getting anywhere, and tell us what kind of happens next.
Okay, I went in to the whole food plant-based diet with some minor complaints.
Hmm.
I had some issues with fatigue,
Hmm.
and I had a little bit of weight to lose, and I wanted to even out my cycle. And then, so during that 14 months, I lost the initial water weight, about 10 pounds. And then after that, I slowly started gaining weight.
Mm,
And I was a little confused about that because my fat consumption, of course, was very low.
yes. Oh yeah. Now, what
Other
was your
than,
typical, what was your typical diet during those days? Walk us through what you were eating on a typical day.
okay, so I would make these green drinks, and it wasn't juicing. So the entire plant
Mhm. Right.
was used with the fruits and stuff. I also included nuts and seeds and sprouts and just everything for all the nutrients. And I would have 2 to 3 of a large mason jar size of those drinks a day.
Mm,
Um, I would make fettuccine alfredo for a cooked meal, tacos using chickpeas and some beans as the meat,
mhm,
um, things like that. I think we tried a couple of the Beyond Meats,
Sure.
for taco night one time, but it was so horrible we never touched it again. And
Yeah,
so
you're better off
I
with the
just made it
beans.
I just made it out of beans after that.
Yeah,
And so yeah, stuff like that. A lot of cooking because, as you probably understand, it takes a lot of time to make plants taste good.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I
fettuccine
didn't
alfredo by itself would take like 2 hours.
wow, yeah, I didn't go that far. Um, I didn't go that far with the special noodles and all that stuff. I just basically didn't eat meat. I still ate eggs and things like that. No, so you were vegan or
I
you were just
ate like a
vegetarian?
vegan.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'm guessing carb wise, you were certainly I would say north of 100 carbs a day. If you're eating all those beans and drinking all those green drinks,
Tofu,
um, you what?
tofu,
Yeah, tofu doesn't isn't super high carb, but the beans, they have fiber and stuff, but there's still a lot of carbs in them. What about fruits? Like, what type of fruits typically did you eat on a daily basis?
everything. Everything. I
Gotcha.
love apples, I love oranges, I love
All
bananas,
right. So you weren't
grapes.
just eating berries and like the low carb fruit. Yeah, gotcha. So yeah,
I was
yeah,
always hungry.
yes, yes, that is definitely true. So yeah, you were probably hitting 200, 250 carbs a day, if you were eating that way, and the pasta as well,
Yep.
even though it wasn't made out of flour and stuff still. So yeah, I got you. That's why you were, of course, gaining the weight. So um, at what point maybe was your lowest point, or at what point did you know you had to make a change to something else?
Um, the last 6 months, I was feeling pretty bad, and I went to the vegan communities to kind of ask them, what am I doing wrong? And they said that I was eating enough and that I was including enough variety to get my nutrients, but that maybe I needed to go raw.
Oh,
So that's when I went 100% raw. And I was kind of excited about that because that meant no long cooking hours in
yeah,
the kitchen.
right, right, yeah.
Yeah. And at this point, I was about 40 pounds heavier than
Mm,
I started off.
mm,
So to stand up in the kitchen for long
yes,
periods was really starting to hurt.
yeah.
And so I went raw, increased my juicing, more nuts, more seeds, more spinach, more fruit. Just,
Yeah,
I would say almost doubled what
yeah,
I was having. And yeah, I lasted 6 months and then I got to a point where not only did I still have the fatigue and the wonky cycle, I now had more weight put
mm,
on. I was more tired
yeah,
and I had all over pain, chronic pain, fibromyalgia. I had dandruff, psoriasis starting. I had seborrheic dermatitis. I had plantar fasciitis.
mm,
I was getting reoccurring boils that made it painful to walk, sit. Um, I was so messed up after that year. I honestly didn't know what to do.
yeah,
Um, it hurt every time I ate, so I dreaded eating. But because I was always hungry and had to
yeah,
reach a high calorie
yeah,
mark, I had to always eat.
yeah. Dr.
So,
Bittman said it. Dr. Bittman, I saw in a video one time. He said, "Hunger always wins."
yes,
You can't beat hunger. Hunger
no.
always wins. So this was all this kind of came to a head about a year and a half ago. Is that when like
Yes.
that's when you made the switch? So we're talking about, you know, um 2021, the beginning of 2021 roughly,
Uh, March of 22.
or 22. Yeah. They told me there'd be no math.
That's
So,
fine.
so but so you've hit rock bottom, and at this point, you're ready to do the popcorn diet. By this time,
Yeah.
you're ready, you're ready to do anything. Just you got to get away from what you're doing.
Yeah, we it was in the height of COVID and DoorDash was extremely popular. So
Yeah,
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 I made an announcement to the family that we are not doing this anymore. Said I don't care what you guys eat, but I'm getting Denny's.
yeah.
And I got a
I love that. I love,
hey,
I love that. So that now, because they weren't doing this with you by any stretch. They were.
no, they were.
Oh, they
They were.
were. So
Yes.
it was a family affair.
Yes.
Okay. Well, hey, don't, hey,
Everybody
listen,
was.
why suffer alone? Torture everybody. I'm with you. I'm with you.
No,
Yeah.
no. My kids were grown and they made their own decision and I would have respected whether they went on it or not. They're
Yeah.
adults, so
Yeah.
but
Now, did they
so
have any
yeah.
health problems or concerns, or they were just doing this to support you?
Well, they had heard that it was really healthy too. I mean, it's all over TV,
Yeah.
it's all over the
Yes.
web. Everybody's
Yeah.
talking about, meatless Mondays and,
Yeah. Yeah.
going plant-based and so much healthier. No, run. Um, far, far
I
away.
understand. Oh, I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
So the family was probably relieved about this too. Then, when you were like, "Hey, it's Denny's time," okay,
yes,
and then they were probably like,
we
"Hallelujah!"
we blew $150 on food.
At Denny's.
Yes, I got a slam burger with extra bacon. I got I think a couple of sides of pancakes.
Oh, I
I
love it.
got some extra bacon and eggs,
Yeah.
and then my family they did the same. My husband got two dinners. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
remember what he
you
ate,
gotta
but
send me the whole left side of the menu. Just send me
yes,
just the whole left side, and I'm gonna call tomorrow, and I want the whole right side of the menu. Just send me everything.
yes,
Yes, that reminds me of my days. Yeah, back in the day, I could get it in. I love that. So you had a Denny's Redemption, and
yep,
you had a yeah. So, and that was the start of a turn. That was a pivotal day when you called up and spent $150 at Denny's. That was the day that turned everything around.
yes. I started. I ate a lot of I ate a lot of junk. I really wasn't concerned. I just wanted to eat. I
Yeah,
hadn't eaten in so long because that
yeah,
that is not food,
yeah.
but I wanted to eat, and I started binge watching why I'm no longer vegan videos, and
Oh, right.
everybody had the same problems that I did. Some people had even worse problems, and it was horrible. And I'm
Yeah,
listening to their stories, thinking, you know, how can this be allowed? How come more people don't know about this? And then you go and you find out after more digging that 84% of people who eat a plant-based or vegan diet come back to meat.
yeah,
They don't tell you that kind of stuff. It's not
yeah. No,
common knowledge.
yeah, no, you're exactly right. It's just not fulfilling. People joke about Chinese food and stuff like that. You eat it, it's a lot of vegetables. It's a lot of that stuff. You eat it and you're hungry later, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. So all right, so you're a long way from Denny's now. We're I don't think we're with the pancakes and that stuff anymore. So how long from that day, the Denny's Redemption Day, until you became keto or carnivore? Now I know you're carnivore now. I use carb number more, so your carb number is probably less than 5, I would say, on a daily basis. On an average day, how many carbs do you get?
Whatever's in eggs.
Oh, there's no carbs in eggs. Yeah, so yeah, there's zero carbs in that. So yeah, if it sounds like your number's probably 0 to 5. I'm around
Yeah.
12 to 15, carbs a day. But did you start that way, or did you gradually move to a carb number being, that low?
No, it was about a week after maybe not even a week, maybe about 5 days after Denny's that I stumbled on one of Dr. Berry's videos.
Gotcha.
And it was about a 12-minute video. I don't remember which one it was, but I did know that after that 12 minutes, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah,
And I jumped 100% into carnivore immediately.
gotcha.
And
Man, you
I
went
took
from
my,
so 5 days. You went from Denny's to carnivore.
yes,
That's amazing. I love that. I love that. Now, does the family do it with you, or were you on your own here, or how did the families react to all
they
this?
all jumped in with me
Okay.
because I can tell you they were not eating any more plants anytime soon.
Yeah. 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 I love that. Your family, you guys are united, man. I don't want to run into you guys, man. You guys stand together. So
Yes.
I love that. I love that. So you you had the Denny's, you found Dr. Barry, you watched videos, and you said that is the life for me. We're gonna try that. And so the whole family decides we're just gonna. Was it just BBB&E? That's beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. Is that kind of how you went about it, or
No, I ate everything carnivore, all animals. So
okay?
seafood, fish,
Gotcha.
chicken, everything.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I love that. I love that. And no plants. What about sauces or spices or things like that? Just salt and pepper, no
Yeah, I knew I
guacamole,
had to.
no.
Yeah, I had to get away from sugar. I had to get away from that. I'm not a moderator. I have to be an abstainer.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally understand that. All right, so you get in, you start 5 days in, you watch the video, you get rolling, and it's been a year and a half. Tell us about summarize over that year and a half the wonderful things that happened to you and the changes that you went through.
Okay. I noticed within just a couple of days, eating no longer hurt because on the plant diet, within 5 minutes, there
Mm,
was pain, cramping, horrible cramping, extreme bloating. It was just horrible. But my second day of carnivore, I didn't even bloat.
mm,
And I ate a lot. I ate until I was full, but I didn't have that uncomfortable feeling. So that was kind of exciting.
yeah.
Um, I think it was about 5 to 6 days in, I started uh, eliminating all of that excess water that I was
Hmm.
holding on to. It would wake me up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I was releasing it all day, and I'm sitting there going, I
Mm.
didn't even know that a human could hold this much water. It was insane. Um,
Yeah, I hear you.
and yeah, so that was interesting because I could start to see details in my feet. They weren't so puffy anymore.
Yes.
And so that was interesting, and that was right away. Week two, I just popped out of bed,
Mm.
um, like I had just slept all day, at
Wow.
least 10 hours. I had so much energy when I had gone so many years, waking up fatigued, going through the entire day fatigued, and then by the end of the whole food plant-based diet, I had nothing left.
Mm.
So waking up like that was a little startling, but nice. And I wasn't stiff.
Yeah.
and that was nice too. Um, and then the energy just increased more and more every day, and uh, I think it was 1 month the scale started going down slowly.
Hmm.
I think that that wasn't as important. Fat loss wasn't as
Right.
important as I initially thought it was going to be,
Hmm.
because I started feeling better, and then I
Yeah.
realized if I drop all the excess fat, that would be great, but I'm kind of enjoying feeling better.
Yeah, getting your life back is what it's about.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't live on a scale.
No.
The number on the scale doesn't make or break you. What makes or breaks you is the things that you can do or the things that you can't do. And the life that you're living. So I totally understand. When you listen to people who are living in a ketogenic, life, and they talk about the things that they've experienced, many, many times they talk about weight loss last.
Yeah.
They talk about being off medications. They talk about feeling better. They talk about being able to do things they couldn't do, and then they say, "Oh, and I lost 40 pounds." You know, so I totally totally understand. So, you fatigue, the energy, the weight loss. What about your family? What types of things did they see? Um, as they went on this path with you.
Pretty much the same things. Even though my kids were young, my son is 21, and his energy has increased a lot. Um, he also had some weight to lose. I think he lost 42 pounds,
Hmm.
and his energy has returned. He also has autism,
Hmm.
and a lot of some issues that he was having have improved on carnivore, and he's more social instead of
Hmm.
hiding in his room all day. He now joins us for more social conversation. He's more social when we're out in public, and
Love
that's
that.
pretty big. Yeah.
Absolutely. We know that the brain functions differently on ketones than it does on glucose. I mean, we know that. So being in ketosis and making ketones, your heart and your brain both work differently
Right.
and more efficiently when you're in ketosis and when your body has, plenty of ketones. Wow, that is wonderful. So, um, tell me when you began working with Dr. Barry and maybe when you joined the group and then how that evolved into working in the community, the PhD community.
Okay. I had joined Dr. Barry's group when he was in Patreon. So
Hmm.
it wasn't long after I went carnivore, maybe a month after, and it was slower in Patreon. There's not as much activity and social interaction as there is in Mighty Networks, and I think that's really important. When I hit 10 months into carnivore, I realized that I no longer had any health issues. And I would go to Dr. Barry's Zoom every week on Wednesday with my question. And on this particular week, I had no questions. I had no ailments. Um,
I
I
love
could
that.
officially, yeah, I could officially say that I had no complaints about anything. And so that's exactly what I told Dr. Barry in that Zoom, that I was thankful to him. I was thankful for finding him. Um, that I was,
Hey, Take your time.
thankful for living because I was not living. I was dying.
You weren't living, you were just alive. Yeah.
And how do you thank somebody properly for that?
Come on, sis. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, and I mean this, and I want everybody to hear this. If this thing doesn't make you emotional, you ain't suffered enough. You ain't suffered enough. Because when you've been low, and I'm not going to act like have the worst story ever. I mean, compared to some of the stories I've heard, and I had it easy. But
Right?
I get emotional about this thing, and I get excited about it. And man, let me tell you something. I turn on that camera, and I pour my soul into that camera, and because I know the pain, I know the struggle. I'm still in the struggle.
Right.
Okay, but yeah, if you can't get excited about this and you can't get emotional about this, you ain't suffered enough.
All right.
Oh, I get it, sis. I'm right there with you. I'm very grateful and thankful for Dr. Barry and Dr. Bickman and people that changed my life and probably saved it. You
Right.
know? So yeah. So I listen, I hear you. I'm right there with you. So, but basically you got to a point where you didn't feel like there was anything else really to take, so you wanted to give.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. I told him that I'm going to stick around and help wherever I can.
Yeah.
And it was shortly after that Kevin and Paola, the moderators there, messaged me and asked if I would be interested in kind of a baby mentor position, which is advisor.
Yeah.
And I jumped on it and I said, absolutely 100%. If I could help just one person
Absolutely.
um, change their life like mine has been changed, then
Yeah.
yeah, I 100% want to do that.
Yeah, that is wonderful. So, how long have you been with doing that with Dr. Barry? You might
Eight
have answered it
months?
before, but I might have missed it.
I think it's been 8 months.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. Well, I certainly see you in the community, and you're always popping in, and answering questions and helping people. And God bless you for that. We need that, and we need stories like yours. We need everybody to share their stories, because you just never know who you'll connect with or who will connect with you. And it's just important. And you don't have to do it like anybody else does it. Do it your way. Sing your song, your style, your voice. If God wanted everybody to sound like Dr. Barry, we'd all be wearing overalls falling off the back of tractors. Okay,
Right?
you know be who you are, and share your life and your story your way. And it's beautiful, and you're a kind soul, a sweet soul. You can see that, like I said, every day when you're in the rooms helping people. And you've certainly helped me, and I'm thankful for that. So tell everybody, we'll wrap up here, and we'll just tell everybody where they can find you. Tell everybody about your YouTube channel, and uh, um, what they can expect when they come there.
Well, I just started my YouTube channel, so there's only a couple videos, some random, keto carnivore facts, how to get started real quick. I am right now counting on my viewers' comments to help me with ideas on videos to make, and so that's how it's starting, and it's at Teresa. You know what? Let me get back to you on that because I just edited the name.
Don't worry about it. No, no pressure. We'll put it in the description for folks, in the comments and stuff, or in the description box for folks that wanna see it. Of course, they can find you in the PhD, community,
Yes.
as well. We encourage folks, if you haven't joined that, you should join that. And of course, if you are a member of that PhD community, as I am, you'll see. Teresa in there all the time, helping out, moderating, answering questions, and just doing the work, to change lives and save lives. And that's what we're all here for. That's why I started my channel. That's why I do what I do, and we all do it in our own way. So I want to thank you for being with me today and sharing your life uh, with us. And I know I'll see you again. We're gonna have you on the cookout, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Love to have you on there. And of course, if there's anything I can do to help you with your channel or anything else you need,
Oh,
you're
you're
very
sweet.
kind, you're very sweet, you're very giving, and you're a joy and a blessing to the ketogenic family.
Oh,
So
thank you.
with that, folks, I want to thank you for watching this episode of Keto Conversations. We're more than what we eat. We're more than our medical conditions. And I want to bring people to you and share their personal stories and personal lives, dig a little deeper, and show you that these are just folks who are living this ketogenic life, but they're your neighbors, your friends, your next door neighbors, and they're just regular folks just like you and me. So stay tuned for the next episode. And as always, I wish you all the best. We'll see you on the next one.